Welcome to the Enchanted Lighthouse, where every week magical stories and new adventures await. Join our group of 7 wonderful animal friends as they bring tales about friendship, mystery, and wonder to life. From unexpected guests to heartfelt conversations under the moonlit sky, each story holds a gentle truth. We are so glad that you are here. Now let us begin. Delilah's warm kitchen. A new scent on the wind. The morning at Aurora's watch began the way it usually did, quietly. The sea rolled in gentle breaths against the rocks below the lighthouse. A thin ribbon of mist curled across the path. Inside, the friends moved slowly through their morning routines. Zoe was arranging cups for tea. Lumi was studying a star map she had drawn the night before. Seppi slid happily across the polished floor. Then Zoe paused. She lifted her nose. "Does anyone else smell that?" she asked slowly. The scent drifting through the open window was warm and lively. Nothing like the usual smells of sea air or herbs or freshly baked bread. This scent carried a hint of roasted peppers, toasted corn, and something bright and spicy. "It smells exciting," Seppi said, sniffing eagerly. Hazel leaned over the windowsill. "It's coming from the path." Sure enough, a small figure was making her way toward the lighthouse. It was a donkey, walking steadily and pulling a little wooden cart behind her. The cart was stacked with colorful pots, pans, bundles of herbs, and tiny glass jars that clinked softly with each step. The friends hurried to the lighthouse steps just as she arrived. The donkey smiled kindly. Her eyes were bright, her hooves gentle on the stones, and the cart behind her looked like a traveling kitchen. "Hello there," she said warmly. "My name is Delilah. I have come from Amber Bay. I travel from place to place, cooking meals for the friends I meet." Theo stepped forward, his light glowing with quiet welcome. "Well then," he said kindly, "Aurora's watch is very glad you stopped here." A kitchen full of color. That afternoon, Delilah rolled her cart into the lighthouse kitchen. Everyone gathered around as she began unpacking her supplies. Out came bright red peppers, golden ears of corn, bowls of beans and squash, bundles of herbs tied with twine, and bottles of sauces that shimmered softly in the sunlight. Seppi's eyes widened. "Your cart is like a treasure chest." Delilah laughed gently. "Every place I visit adds a new ingredient." Milo peered into a pan she placed on the stove. "So, what are we making?" Delilah smiled. "Tacos!" The word seemed to sparkle in the air. "Tacos?" Hazel repeated. "Simple food," Delilah explained, "but full of flavor, and best enjoyed when everyone helps." Immediately the kitchen came alive. Hazel began carefully slicing peppers. Zoe stirred a pot of beans slowly, humming as she worked. Lumi brought sea herbs she had gathered near the shore. Milo volunteered to toast the corn tortillas. He flipped them around like pancakes. Seppi's job was taste testing, "I take this job very seriously," he declared. Soon the kitchen filled with sizzling sounds and delicious smells. Delilah worked calmly, her hooves moving gently but confidently. As she cooked, she hummed a low melody from her homeland, slow and warm, like waves rolling across a sunny beach. Stories from Ember Bay. By evening, the long lighthouse table was ready. Lanterns glowed softly overhead. Plates were filled with warm tacos bursting with color. Theo raised his cup. "To new flavors," he said gently, "and new friends." Everyone took a bite. Seppi's eyes went wide. "It tastes like sunshine!" Hazel laughed. "And spice!" As they ate, Delilah began sharing stories of Ember Bay. She spoke of night markets filled with lantern light and laughter, of fireflies that glowed in the trees like tiny stars, of music drifting through warm evenings by the shore. "And once," she said thoughtfully, "I even cooked dinner for a blue whale." "A blue whale?" Milo asked. Delilah nodded calmly. "It drifted too close to the coast one evening. Very hungry. I made it 100 bowls of roasted squash." Seppi leaned forward. "Did it say thank you?" Delilah smiled. "It sang." The friends sat quietly for a moment, imagining that sound drifting through the sky. Cooking as a language. When the plates were nearly empty, Theo leaned back in his chair. "You cook with a lot of care," he said. Delilah wiped her hooves on a cloth and smiled thoughtfully. "Cooking is how I speak," she explained. "Sometimes it's hard for me to find the right words. But a good meal can say many things." She pointed to the table. "It can say, 'You are welcome here.'" She nodded toward Seppi. "It can say, 'I am happy you came.'" Then she looked around the room. "And sometimes it says, 'I see you, and I care.'" The lighthouse friends understood that language very well, because in their own ways they spoke it too. Bright stars and quiet thoughts. Later that night, after the dishes were washed and the kitchen was clean again, Delilah stepped out onto the lighthouse balcony. The sea was calm and dark beneath the stars. Zoe joined her slowly. "I love the tacos you made," Zoe said softly. Delilah leaned against the railing. "Thank you." "When I travel," she said, "cooking helps me feel at home." She watched the lighthouse beam sweep across the water. "Every place I visit is different. But when people sit down and share a meal, it feels like we belong to the same table." So we thought about that for a moment. "I bake when I want to feel calm," she said. Delilah smiled. "Then we speak the same language." They stood quietly together, watching the stars shimmer over the sea. A small morning surprise. The next morning, the lighthouse woke to the soft smell of coffee and sea breeze. Delilah stepped into the kitchen and found something waiting beside her cart. A small folded note. She opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten recipe. Zoe's lavender berry crumble. Below the recipe were a few simple words. Next time we bake together. Delilah's ears lifted in quiet delight. She looked around the kitchen, now filled with familiar warmth. I think, she said softly to herself, I will stay a few more days. Of course, Theo said. The guest room is all yours. Outside, the lighthouse beam faded gently into the morning sun. And inside, new recipes and new friendships were just beginning. Every story has something to teach us. What did we learn today? We have learned that sharing our talents, no matter how quiet or humble, can create warmth and connection. It can bring people together. Kindness can come in the form of a warm meal. And sometimes, the best way to say I care is simply to share what you love. Thank you for stopping by here today. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like and don't forget to come back next week for a brand new adventurous story. Want to learn more about the magical tenants who live here? Visit enchantedlighthouse.com for a mystical map, creative artwork and a few special gifts. Until then, be kind and share your light. See you next time.